Before I go any further, I might want to add, I just noticed this underneath that IC, there's a jumper right there. That little white bar is a jumper, so don't forget that little jumper. Basically, I'm gonna do the smallest pieces first and then the larger pieces. I think it'll be easy that way, I hope. I really don't like reading resistor bands, so I just use one of these cheap transistor testers. Works out great. I'm just gonna find the first one. There's R1. Here it is. Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna set most of these in here and then I'll be back. Just in case it isn't obvious what I'm doing here, I'm putting the resistor in the tester, and I hit the little thing and it gives me a reading. You know, it's 19.69 kilo ohms, so that's 20k. So you look on here on your sheet, it says 20k's R4. So that resistor that you just tested, or you can go by the color bands, goes in the slot R4. So it's this one, because that one says R4. While I'm thinking about it, I wanted to show you kind of something else I'm doing here. On the back, I'm just bending all the leads over on this. I'm basically doing the resistors first, because those and the jumpers are the smallest. And I'm not soldering them until I get them all done. That way, just in case I come across a resistor that has a value that's supposed to be in one of these, but if I already have something in there, obviously I messed up, but I haven't permanently put it in there, so I can retest it and make sure that I had put it in the right place. Same thing with the capacitors. Although with the capacitors it's a little bit easier because they actually have numbers and stuff on them, you know, the ceramic capacitors, I mean. So okay, so I've put all the resistors in. There's no remaining resistors, so I think I got everything right. Still haven't soldered everything. I still need to solder everything. I also went ahead and put in the 2 diodes and the potentiometer and the 3 switches. I'm going to go ahead and solder those things up, and then I'm going to go ahead and start with the capacitors, and then probably do the little sockets for the ICs, and then I'll probably do the transistors. So I'll be back in a minute when I get everything soldered up and get the not transistors, the capacitors and some of these other single component things, you know, like the little I forget what this thing's called, thermistor. No, that's not a thermistor. That's okay. I just thought of something that I didn't mention earlier. I mentioned when you that the little notch right here, you want to align the notch up with the notch on the IC, if it ever focus has. There you go. So the notch right there, right there. But what I forgot to mention was the little sockets that you solder in. You can see it right there. There's a little socket, or a little notch rather, on the socket. So you want to, you know, put that focus. So you want to put it, you know, just, you know, little notch with the notch, and that's so you can see what direction to put the your IC in. So don't forget that. I mean, it's not gonna, I mean, if you accidentally put it in backwards, it's still gonna function as long as you put the IC in the right direction, but that's just like a little reminder. So I wanted to show you a little trick. Some of these components, you know, when you turn them over to solder them, you know, they just want to fall out or whatever. So I mean, an easy way to do this is, you know, put it in there and just kind of lean it up against something that'll hold it, and now you can solder it. Okay, just walked into a little snag. The little barrel connector that you're supposed to solder in the board, and this may not be indicative of all of the boards and jacks or whatever, but anyways, let's see if I can get a picture of this. Maybe. I've had to use this little file here to file this down so it'll fit just the back one. The other two tabs apparently are smaller in width than this one, and unfortunately on the back there, the little slots that they put in are all the same width, so this wouldn't seat at all. I couldn't get it in there at all, and I didn't have another one of these, so I don't even know if that's typical of this jacked type or not. But anyways, you're probably going to have to, you know, take a little file like that, a little machinist file, and file that tab down, or it's not going to fit in there. And don't press too hard. Don't try to force it in there, because the only thing that's going to do is it'll break off the little pad right there. So be aware of that. guess the moral of the story is secure the two opposites and then check it and see if it dropped, which is what I did not do last time. And that's much better. So yeah. I think I'm just going to go ahead and secure all of them down right now. And then finish them up all at once. That one kind of dropped a little bit too, and like I was saying, if you just do the opposites and then check, then you only have to reflow one and press up, and now it's flat. Whereas that first one, I had to reflow 4 and press up, so. I guess I'm getting ahead of myself again. Alright, last one. Put it in the right way. And get in there. Something ain't right. Something ain't right. What is it not working? There it goes. Not want to go in all the way for some reason. That's better. There's enough pins in that one that it should hold itself. Let's turn this around. Finish soldering all these up. T4 through T9 are A92s. And the oddball out is the T3 up here. That's an A42, and these are all A42s on the bottom. Also, while I'm thinking about it, make sure that on the T3 that you follow the picture that's stenciled on the board here, because you know all of them but T3 are facing one direction, so don't put it in backwards. Well, the main board's pretty much done. I've got put the headers and the one transistor in, but that's gonna follow this board, and that's what I'm gonna start on next.